Good day, everybody. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the art of giving effective feedback. Feedback is a very important topic for all of us, educators as well as students. Looking at the definition of feedback, it is a process by which one person provides another person with information for the sole purpose of improving his or her performance. And that is probably the most important part, is that I want to improve your performance. I have nothing against you as an individual. It is your performance that I'm here to improve with this feedback. The basics of feedback 101. Who should give feedback should be the first question. It is you. Everybody should be giving feedback to each other depending on the situation. So let's look at feedback and evaluation. Feedback is formative, evaluation is summative. In fact, it is feedback which should have a higher hand because by being formative, I'm trying to inform you with the sole purpose of reforming you. How can a feedback be more effective? What I have in mind are 4 pillars. The first one of the 4 pillars would be to be specific. Give specific examples of what happened in that particular encounter and how that can be improved. The second pillar would be timely. It is important to give feedback in real time and not after a few hours or a few days later when it loses its essence. The third pillar would be to actually have time for reflection and to include the person himself in that reflection moment by asking, how do you think you did currently in this situation? How do you think you could improve on it? And the final pillar, as we go through the first 3 into the last one, would be to develop an action plan. So once again, there are 4 pillars. Be specific, be timely, include time for reflection, and develop an action plan. Having insight into oneself is important for receiving feedback. Having an action plan and understanding that action plan is equally important. And finally, having a strategy for long-term goals should be implemented. So what are the different methods of offering feedback? The first one, which all of us know pretty well, is the sandwich method, where we start by giving positive feedback, that's your little bun on the top, and then the meat in between, which is your critical analysis or the critique that you give, and finally the good one, back again to the bun at the bottom. This could be effective in many cases, but could lose its essence in a few people who just choose to stay with the positive feedback. And hence the second one. The second one could be called as cheese and cracker method. Little good, little not so good, little that could be better, strewn in between, sometimes positive and sometimes negative feedback, or something that could make a better change. The third method of feedback could be ask, tell, and ask. Ask the person, how do you think you performed today? Then tell the person what you thought could have been better and what went well. And finally ask the person again how he could implement it and whether he agrees with what you just said. So this last one, the ask, tell, and ask method, is probably my favorite one. And I would encourage all of you to do the ask, tell, and ask method as much as possible in your interactions. Moving on, the one which we always hear is the minimal feedback. Hey, you did a nice job. Keep up the good work, whatever it is and whoever you are. Or just nonverbal cues like a shoulder shrug or raised eyebrow. I would say, please do not give minimal feedback. It is the least effective of all modalities. Finally, I would like to say praise can make you feel good, but it is the critique which makes you into a better person. Use both of these wisely. When you're doing constructive feedback, make sure that you're doing it in the right way and not belittling the other person, as is noted in this picture. Constructive feedback helps to improve the performance. Positive feedback helps to reinforce a good thought process. Each of these, the constructive and the positive one, is equally important. Finally, a little bit on the 360-degree feedback. Feedback is given to a person not just in a hierarchical fashion from a teacher to a student, but should be done at every level from peer to peer, a horizontal way. If you're working from the employer to the employee, from the employee to the employer, whether it's a customer to the manager to a customer, employee, etc. 360-degree feedback is something which is becoming more and more universal, and we should be all receptive to accepting it. Finally, I'd like to end with what Jack Endy said. Feedback is necessary, feedback is valuable, and after a bit of practice and planning, it is really not that difficult. So let's go out today, and what Nike said, let's just do it. Thank you very much for your attention. I know there are so many things that you cannot do, and there are so many things that you can do which I cannot do, but together we can do great things. Thank you for your attention. All right.